A badge of honor. Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But that's not how it feels today, and the stress of the job is taking its toll, taking lives through suicide and post-traumatic stress injury. A Badge of Honor podcast features the cast of the same name, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno. Sam, John, and the team offer the first responders workshops through their critical incident stress management teams and mental health liaisons to offer state-certified T-Cole credit programs that save lives. It's time to smash through the stigma. It's time to heal from your injury, and it's time to back our blue. Welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast. Here are your hosts, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam, powered by the OBBM network. Man, coming to you every Monday night from 5 to 6. It's time to get mentally healthy, and you know, it's working. People that we hear from all over the first responder and veteran community are taking some of these tools that we're bringing every Monday and they're implementing them into their lives for the perfect mental health recipe. But, you know, like we said in the beginning before the show, Sam, each recipe needs an ingredient. And if you leave an ingredient out, man, it's just going to taste like shit. So we don't want anybody feeling that way. So we're going to bring together a great recipe to add to your ingredient, a great ingredient to add to your mental health recipe today, right after we speak about the mental health of Walk the Bridge. Man, you guys had a great turnout at on the Rockwall side. Tell us a little about it. How did it go, Sam?
Yeah, as you did in Fort Worth. And if you guys are wondering, it's real easy. Just go to Facebook and type in Walk the Bridge. You'll find it. You can follow us on Facebook. And really, it is getting out once a month, getting together and remembering those that we have lost in the manner that they lived, not that they died by suicide. And we lost one of the investigators from our DA's office not too long ago, and the Cannon family, yep, as well as all of his co-workers, including the DA of Rockwall County. She was out, and it was a chance for, you know, first of all, to get together outside of the office. You know, when you see each other every day, yeah, sometimes you have dinner. What are you all there for? A funeral, right? A memorial service, a chance to remember Shane and be smiling and walking together and remembering the happy memories and having his photo up on the bridge. Thank you, Jeffrey Gray, for doing that for all of our heroes that we've lost, that we walk for every month. And it was a huge group, but again, it's not about the numbers. It's about the meaning behind it. And so the third Sunday of every month, whether you're over on my side of the Metroplex or John's side over, he covers the Fort Worth, please come out and join us. Tell us your stories. Heal with others that have lost someone to suicide. If you're battling, I will tell you, there's no better place to be other than having a private conversation with somebody that you love or somebody that you trust, or your dog or your cat or us, whomever, to help you out.
Don't get caught talking to your cat, because then that can cause a whole bunch of other mental issues and the straight jacket and stuff. We don't want to watch out for talking to your cat. I got answers for my cat. You know, Sam, you brought up a really good point about Officer Cannon. You know, we walk on the Fort Worth side on the 7th Street Bridge. We end up at the police and fire memorial. It's a circle area, and they have a nice memorial. And they keep adding names. They added a few names this past month. But for the first time since we've been doing this, I don't know if you guys can see this on my phone, but someone had put a message for it's a firefighter, David P. Green. He died back in September 19th of 2022. And one of the notes reads, love and miss you every day. See, and when you think about this is a line of duty injury. but they're still loved ones, and there's still family members out there that care about them and miss them and still think about them each and every day. So when we say their names, when we go there each and every month to honor them, that gives the families and the friends going, wow, they're still thinking about my loved one. They're still caring about my loved one. He did not die in vain. He did not die for nothing. These people came out to honor my spouse, my cousin, my family member. And that is a huge healing process to for the families as well. So what we're doing is on the Walk the Bridge project has so many different levels to it. It's what you make of it. It's what you bring into your inner self, you know, and that's why it has grown globally. 4 spots in the UK. I think it's 7 or 8 spots here in the United States. Walkthebridge.org. You can find out your locations. If you'd like to start a Walk the Bridge project, man, just ask one of us. It costs nothing. It's just feeling a passion behind it and doing it and just going out and grabbing a bunch of people. We started with 11 people, right, Sam?
Mm-hmm.
In Rockwall, and now we have sometimes over 100, 150 people showing up just to walk. Sometimes first, one time and done, and sometimes continuous people like coming out.
Right. We're always, like I said, it's the 3rd Sunday of every month, rain, shine, sleet, snow, whatever. I mean, we do have to call it if it's dangerous, if it's an ice storm, which happened that one time because it's not safe to walk.
But we still have people out there.
Yeah, we did. But you started by saying, creating your wellness recipe, and we already know the health benefits of walking. So what it does is it releases the feel-good hormones, our endorphins, so it can get you out of being stuck. And our guest tonight, it's all about movement and healing. And I love the name of his business because it is about throwing yourself a lifeline. And Yoga Rescue, Vance Rowe is the founder creator. Every time I say it, I'm like, I think of that at the pool, you've got the donut, whatever, and you throw it. It's a way to rescue yourself when you're in the shit, in the muck, to learn how to breathe, to get down on a yoga mat and create wellness for yourself. There's nothing better. And you and I have both done it. So let's bring Vance on to the podcast. Vance, welcome to a Badge of Honor podcast.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Let everybody know who's listening and watching. How did you're 20 year plus law enforcement. Yep. You're still involved in the 911 communications.
Correct.
But how did we go from being a law enforcement officer to yoga and now doing communications? Sure.
So it's a bit of a long story, but I'm going to start back in about 2013. So at that point, I had been a police officer for about 13 years. Had the opportunity to do quite a lot of different things. It wasn't just all patrol work. I've done a lot of admin work, backgrounds, that kind of investigations and things like that. But I work in a place it's a very busy resort town, and that's Ocean City, Maryland. And what that meant was for about a 5-month period of every summer, I would work a lot of hours, and that would always be out on patrol. And so then, 2013, I start and I become our agency's first polygraph examiner. So I went away to an Army base in the middle of Pennsylvania for 12 weeks. So the workload increased on me quite a few fold, because I then, in my wintertime, I was incredibly busy doing that kind of stuff. In my summertime, I was still busy doing patrol work. It wasn't like I was a full-time examiner. So those kind of things started to add up on me, the amount of hours, the fact that I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do. I've heard people say, like, used to, like to do this. Well, why don't you do it anymore? Well, I don't know. It's so much easier to just lay on my couch and do nothing. So I was kind of there. So I had a pretty terrible relationship with my immediate supervisor at the time. I would tell you now that I had issues with alcohol, but those didn't really totally come out until maybe a couple more years down the road. And then what really set it off was getting hurt. In late 2016, I fell off my bike while I was working, and I ripped up my knee. And as a result of that knee injury, I now have nerve damage in my left foot. And so I haven't worn socks in like 7 years. Most of the time you're going to see me in bare feet or flip flops, which, I mean, that works because, I work at the beach. So, so what happened was, in 2016, I get hurt. There's this period of limbo where nobody really knows what to do with me. So for 3 years, they're still trying to get me to the doctor, and they're like, "We're going to fix you. It's going to be okay." And then they couldn't. And then in 2019, my workers' comp claim ended, and still there was no decision as to what to do with me. So I'm kind of just sitting on the sidelines. I can't be a cop, but they don't necessarily know what to do with me. And I just lost my purpose. I had so much of it was connected to my job, and so much of it was connected. I wanted that validation of being able to be good at my job and having somebody tell me I'm doing a good job. And I lost it. It was gone. So I was kind of spiraling out of control at that point. Drinking, amplified, because, you're just in this incredible amount of pain. My wife finally confronts me in the end of 2019, to the point where I had quit drinking a couple times. And at its worst, when I was right at the end, in 18, 19, I was probably like blackout drunk a couple days a week, but you would never know if I was at work. I was completely functional. I didn't miss assignments. I didn't miss anything. You know what I mean? But every night I was going to drink until I passed out. So my wife confronts me at the end of 2019, and that was an interesting time. I had quit drinking a couple times. This most recent time I had stopped for 6 weeks. I decide that we're on a vacation with some friends, and so I can control it. It's no problem. And I can't. I'll never drink again because I can't control it. And so she takes videos, she takes photos of me, she confronts me the next day. And I think to myself, I never, ever want to have this conversation again. I am so deeply embarrassed at this point. So I'm like, I'm not going to drink today. And then it kind of became a game to me. I've been an athlete all my life, so I guess I'm just a little competitive. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to drink this week. Well, now I'm not going to drink this month. And this November will be 4 years since I've actually.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Within a couple of days of that conversation was the first time I ever went into a yoga studio. And now you can't tell by, this square, but I am not a small person. I am a 6'4".
You're a square person.
70 pound. Right.
Sitting down right now.
Right now I'm like this many inches tall. 6'4", 270 pounds. I played offensive line when I was in college. And then I was a police officer for 22 years. So I stand out is what my point is. And I had done some yoga practices like through my life, just VHS tape. Sorry, I just dated myself tremendously.
Hey,
sorry.
We know what those are.
Wait, Vance,
Yeah.
it would be wrong of me not to comment on this. VHS tape. I'm thinking those old commercials in your living room, headband on, shorts.
Yeah, hell
No,
yeah.
that's jazzercise.
I just really wanted to give everybody a good visual of somebody who's 6'4" in his living room with a headband.
Hell yeah.
Doing some yoga stuff.
No, Richard
Big tube
Simmons.
socks too.
Hey, we are going to come back, Vance, and pick up on your story.
Okay, cool.
That's like everybody's going to go away with that visual. We want to come back envisioning a 6'4", 270 pound fit lineman. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Move freely, America, without medical restrictions or penalty. Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Move freely, America, with one voice, without fear of retribution, achieving a common goal, medical freedom. We the people make our voices heard by connecting with state legislators and engaging a constitutionally compliant medical bill of rights for all citizens. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice, too. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America. My voice.
And my voice.
And together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam. Welcoming Vance, the VHS or VCR yoga hero. Talking about our mental health recipe, where we all need certain ingredients, and each person will change up a different ingredient for their own taste. So many people have replaced kayaking with yoga or hiking with yoga. It's just a different type of ingredient, different type of ingredient we want to put in and change it up a little bit, because we don't want everything to taste the same, and everybody's got different tastes. And you've brought into yoga. Before we left, we were talking about you dancing around in your living room and doing
I look good too.
The double over dog thing, and
downward dog. What did you say?
Downward dog, double over dog, or whatever.
You guys listening and watching can tell that John
I may be thinking something else, but the downward dog. But we were discussing your injury. You got hurt on a job, and no one expects an injury to ever happen.
No.
And when we lose our why or we lose our purpose, and most of us for first responders, it's in an instant, and all of a sudden now we don't know where to turn. We're never really prepared for it. And we turn to different types of outlets, drinking, drugs, porn, whatever it is, to truly try to get that same rush. Now, you said you went through all that. Then you were walking by a yoga studio, right?
Yeah. And I never thought I was good enough to go to a yoga studio. I'm like, these people were probably, yoga elite, whatever that means. But like I said, I don't. If everybody closes their eyes right now and they're like, think of like your typical yoga person, I do not look like that person. So, so I honestly, I was like, what am I so afraid of? I'm, either I'm going to stumble and fall on my face, or I'm going to be good at it, or something. But
was it a local?
Like, I'm going to try it. It was a local place. It was a
local place. You just walking down.
It was 2 miles. It was 2 miles from my house, and I was, and like I said, I had thought about it, but I never tried it because I just didn't think I was going to fit in. I was having so many of these other issues at that point. I was starting to pull away from my friends. I was starting to pull away from family. And then when I get in this room, there must have been like 20 people in there, and it was a hot class. So
like 5'5", right? Everybody's like 5'5".
Yeah,
5'5",
I mean, I was easily the biggest person in there. But there's this amazing sense of community in yoga, and it's the same reason that I still like to be in a studio setting, because there's an energy that you actually pick up from the other people that is a little bit lost in the online world. So I really like that. And so I got so much out of it that I told my wife so I probably then started to go to like 2 to 3 a week. And within the first 30 days of going to my first studio practice, I told my wife that I was going to go teach this to cops and firefighters and people like me. So it took a couple months for there to be a 200-hour training program. So that's the base level yoga teacher training program for any yoga teacher that you see in a studio. And it's generally, the way I did it was it's a weekend a month for 6 months. And so I finished that in March of 2021. And then since then, I've actually gone through 2 other programs. And the 2 programs I went to were Warriors at Ease and Veterans Yoga Project. And both of them are yoga and meditation programs that are built for combat veterans. So dealing with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries and things like that. So it translates incredibly well into wanting to teach first responders. Now, that's not the only thing I teach. Like I teach normal studio classes, but I mean, the whole reason I got into this is because I want to try to keep people like me from killing themselves because they don't know what else to do. I was, there were certainly points that I'm having those same thoughts. There's certainly points where I'm drinking myself to sleep. And I didn't know why then, but now as I am able to go back and look and use like that hindsight and start learning about what yoga does to your brain and how it helps you, now I can see, now I can kind of see how I got where I got. So that's now what I teach about. So not only am I teaching like yoga classes, but I've started talking about my story and how I go from, cop to yoga teacher, because everybody's like, I don't get it. How do you meld those two things together? But then Sam, you asked me about the 911 part. Well, so what ended up happening to me is my police career ended in 22. So 3 years after my workers' comp claim was over, they decided that, or my town decided that they offered me a job as a dispatcher. And so I just started there a year ago. And so I've been doing that for the past year and still learning how to do the fire dispatching. I'm okay at it, but
what you got to do, it's hard to wake them up from behind the phone. You got to shake them a lot.
Right. So yeah, it's definitely been good.
Right, John? So John was a firefighter in his, one of his previous lives. John's lived a bunch of lives. I think when you get to the point of where you are, Vance, certainly, and me and John, that you've passed through these doorways through your career and life, and it's like, oh yeah, back in that life. So
Right.
So that, when John was a firefighter, wake up, alarm bells. But so you're still with the police department, but in the 911 communications side, right?
So our communications division is actually its own division. So I work in our emergency services division of the town, and the police department is its own separate entity.
Got it.
So I just switched from one position to another. And I can retire in 18 months, but I can also stay if I want to stay a little bit longer. Just kind of, everybody asks me what my business plan is for Yoga Rescue. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just, I'm teaching classes. I'm trying to get people interested. I have actually just started my 300 training program. So that is an additional training program. And if I have 500 hours under my belt, then what I can actually do is I can write a training curriculum and I can train people like me to teach yoga. So I can have far more impact that way. And part of my former life, as you guys were putting it, so I was big into training. So I've done a lot of admin work, and that's just kind of the way my brain works. So I'm used to putting together that kind of stuff curriculum wise. And so that's a goal for, 18 months down the road from right now.
Hey, it's all great. It's all great, and it will definitely work itself out. Guys, if you are just joining us on the podcast, we're talking to Vance Rowe. He is the founder and creator of Yoga Rescue out on the Eastern Shore in Maryland, my old stomping grounds, long time ago. We will be right back after this next break. Stay tuned.
All right.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John Sam and our special guest, Vance Rowe from Yoga Rescue over in Maryland, Ocean City, Maryland.
Yep, that's correct.
Ocean City, Maryland. Before we took the break, we were discussing your on-the-job injury, how you transitioned, that point in life where you had the dark side, but then, walking through town, you something sparks each and every one of us at some point in our life. So you're walking through your town and you say, yoga. It's just like
Right.
this thing comes up and says, "Hey, let me try it." You're 6'4", you walk in there, you can reach the high yoga mats for the short people, and they love you, and you get embraced by this yoga community, and you found a new path,
Yeah,
a new path
I sure
towards
did.
healing.
And I mean, listen, I don't know that everything, I don't know that things happen for, accident. Things are certainly meant to be. And it's just sometimes you have to watch for the signs and then, maybe follow those breadcrumbs and things like that. It's funny because right before I got hurt in the summer of 2016, I actually have this, I just had this moment. I mean, it had just been a really, really long night. And we just had a really bad night, honestly. And I came home to my wife and I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I don't really, and at that point I was 9 years from retirement, and she was very supportive. She's like, all right, well, if we got to get you out, we'll get you out, but it's going to take a couple months to do that. And then it was 3 months later, I got hurt. So I have since left. It took 6 years, the better part, but be careful what you wish for.
Those aha moments, Vance. You said this yoga studio is 2 miles away from your home, right?
It's close, real close by. Yep.
Prior to this, you probably passed that place a million times, right?
Yeah, I 100%. I just had never paid attention to it, and I had never really, and I didn't go there that Saturday morning with the intention of this is what I need to turn my life around. It just, there was this opportunity to go, and I went. I had a wonderful time, and then I just kept going back, and I'm like, this is amazing. I got to share this with other people. So that's kind of where it put me on that path. And even when I look back like a year ago, or when I look back like 2 years ago, I don't know that I'm exactly where I am right now, but I just keep kind of following those breadcrumbs, and wherever they go.
Yeah, well, yoga
I think there's certainly a bigger purpose for me.
Yeah, yoga has been embraced by the military now, and first responders, fire and police across the U.S., depending on the agency and the person. The whole point is that, like, you learned what you needed for your brain and your body to combat, I'll call it, the voices that just wanted to take you down, right? Or you couldn't see the light from the hole that you were in. And was it, everybody talks about like maybe an aha moment. This sounded like more of a movement that gave you relief, like, oh, wait a second, that I feel better now than when I walked in the door moment.
It did. It clear and listen, there are so many wonderful physical benefits to the yoga practice. For me, it is the mental side that does far more. It was getting out of my head and getting back into my body and being able to clear out all this negative stuff that had been kind of swirling around. And what happens is, you start to live in the past, you start to live in the future, and you're kind of just walking around in the present moment, but you're not thinking, you're not there. So I was forced to be here. And that's a yoga teacher cueing certain moves and not knowing that that's how it's landing with me, but that's just how it did.
Yeah. And I've read on your website that, people have given you feedback. You have great pictures of some of the workshops that you've done with first responders. They're pushed away from their desks and they're on the floor, and you're going through the movements. How at first, when you told people what you wanted to do specifically for first responders, how did people respond?
It depends on the people. And I'm going to tell you that I have people that, so I had people that from the get-go were like, this is wonderful. Tell me when you're teaching, I'm coming. And then I had people that were like, this is goofy. I can't touch my toes. I can't come to a yoga class. And I would say, why don't you try one? And listen, look, you don't know what you can and can't do, right? Until you try. Now I'm going to tell you that there is still there's still a pretty hard mindset in some of the folks that are agency leaders that I mean, there's people from my former police agency that probably think I'm crazy because I went and became a yoga teacher. But hey, man, the whole reason I'm doing it is so we don't have another cop kill himself. We have this real suicide problem in the first responder community. I don't see a ton of help regionally here, like as far as agencies buying in and being like, yeah, we're going to help our people. I see a lot of people that are suffering in silence. I see a lot of people that they don't feel comfortable. They don't have the trust to go to their agency and be like, hey, listen, something ain't right with my head, because they're scared to death they're going to lose their job. So anything that I've done at this point, I'm trying to build resources so that people have these confidential places that they can reach out that are not connected to an agency, where an agency can take their job away from them.
Vance, you spoke about the post-traumatic stress and the suicide rate, and how yoga will center you and balance you and kind of uncloud your mind sometimes. But let's look at the future thing. Some people are skeptical, right? But think about the long run, the longevity aspect of what yoga will do for you. And I can't wait till they start doing a study on those who, died within 5 years or 6 years of retirement. And then those who lasted 20 years plus after their retirement because of yoga. Because that, once again, it all ties into not only our mental health, but our physical health.
Right.
By doing this, you're moving, your circulation is better, your joint, your mobility is better.
So the one thing that I'd love to just kind of add in is, all right, so I had 2 really significant back injuries in 2008 and 2009. I wish I would have been doing any of this prior to that, because it would have made my rehab easier.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I wouldn't have gotten hurt, but maybe it would have made it a little less severe. I played football for a lot of years of my life. God knows what I've done to myself. And then I wore a duty belt and a vest. Yeah, I get it. I wasn't the kindest to my body. So for the people that are out there that are like, I can't do yoga, there's no way that I can do all this stuff, why is it going to help me? All right, here's the biggest takeaway is all of us first responders, we live in this world of fight or flight, that in this constant arousal of your sympathetic nervous system, and you never let it come back down. That's not healthy to live up there all the time, not living in that state of hypervigilance. And no amount of trauma that you've ever sustained is ever going to be able to process when you're still in your fight or flight response. You have to get into your parasympathetic for your brain to start to work right. And that's the biggest thing that yoga can do. Look, we can sit in a chair and we can leave our arms and legs exactly where they are, and we can just breathe, and we did yoga. It's all about pulling your mind, body, spirit, and it's about pulling them back together. So that's kind of like, part of my sales pitch, of course, but you don't have to stand on your head. That's not what it's about. It's about finding this beautiful, for me, this calm, this peace that's kind of like deep inside of you. Every single person has it. It's just sometimes maybe it's a little deeper, or it's a little more covered up, or more crap has happened to them and it's a little harder to find. It's in there. You just got to be willing to do the work, turn inside, and be able to dig for it.
Yeah.
Well, that is great. Perfect segue to go into our next break. We will be right back. If you're just joining us, we are talking with Vance Rowe. He is the creator and founder of Yoga Rescue, and he is located on the eastern shore of Maryland, specifically Ocean City, where he was a police officer for 20 plus years and now is a 911 communicator. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam, with our special guest Vance with Yoga Rescue. It's been we've been talking about a lot of great things, and just before we left, we're talking about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system and how yoga plays a big part of that. I also want to touch on the commercial that you just saw, which is Sam. It's Carry in Texas, right? Now, when you teach people to shoot, in which a lot of first responders, have their lives rely on their shooting aspects, right? So, breathing is a huge technique in shooting, is it not correct, Sam?
Yes, correct. Yes.
So when you teach, you're gonna tell people to breathe, and because you just don't want to start firing. You have to center yourself to make sure you get off a clean shot to save your life, right? Just like yoga, you have to breathe. You have to bring all this in. This all plays into not only our retirement, but into our job as well. Yoga, breathing, centered, learning to stay in our parasympathetic nervous system instead of our, fight or flight will save our lives during our jobs, maybe and after. So when we look at this big recipe of mental health goulash, man, there are a lot of good components, and everything's going to taste well as long as you try it. It brings me back to my granddaughter who doesn't want to try anything, right? But you walked into a studio on a whim, someplace that you've passed so many times, said that's probably not for me. But now you said, I'm going to try to taste this, and it tasted good, right? And we don't know how it tastes until we try.
Well, your granddaughter isn't going to eat goulash, man. You got to throw the kitchen sink cookie at her.
I don't know how this child survived. I don't know how she exists on Earth, because it's just mac and cheese, nothing else. Mac and cheese or dinosaur processed chicken nuggets. End of story.
Okay, that's a whole nother podcast dealing with health and wellness. But with yoga, Vance, I mean, the thing that got me, I'll say hooked, and I have worked yoga I have a once a week practice that supports everything I do, whether it's sandbag, it's training, kettlebells, because I still like to lift a lot. We breathe. Breath is how we exist. Breath is life. And when you can channel it in a way where you release, whether it's the yin style or whatever kind of rescue, whatever kind of breathing you're doing, whether you breathe in, you breathe out, and you get that extra added stretch. I mean, I was the most inflexible person. I could barely touch my toes. And when it came to passing a Secret Service, when we were down at FLETC, I had to go to a certain point to pass, right? And I'm struggling here. And then all these years later, well out of law enforcement in my 50s, and I'm starting yoga, and our friends at the Warrior Spirit Project, and talked about mindfulness, and that's where I started. And I was like, I gotta do this. And then I kind of finally, I ebbed and flowed, fell off a little. Then we had Scott Medlin on. He talked about yoga. So I've been doing this yoga thing. And then Vance talk about breadcrumbs. What it says to me is, Sam, just keep going. And I will tell you that not only the way that my core feels, but the way that my body feels, because I put it through the paces every week, it allows me to not think about whether it's shooting or I'm doing another kind of exercise. My breath is there. I am solid. And that carries me through the day. When you and I do our workshops in Vance, when you're teaching and you notice a first responder who is feeling stress, where do we breathe from up here, right?
Breathe up in your chest. And that's the first thing I make everybody do is lay down on the ground, and you got to make your belly move.
Exactly, because you've got to connect with that. Because if you're constantly breathing from a place of stress, you're never out of fight or flight.
Yep.
And when you really learn that and you add the movement, and I'm not standing on my head, I'm not putting my leg behind my head. This is basic so that Sam doesn't fall apart, because like Vance, being an athlete, it's about longevity.
Yeah. And one of the first things that I do like to tell people is, look, I'm 46 years old. I've been breathing every day of my life. All right. But when I get into my practice, when somebody maybe guides me, you take that hour and you breathe literally on purpose. That like you're taking these nice slow inhalations and then these slow, steady exhalations, and you're trying to make them the same. And then you try to keep that through the entirety of your practice. And then the crazy stuff is, at some point there's going to be some sort of like contorted move where you're maybe going to be uncomfortable. Right. But so what everybody does is everybody holds their breath and everybody like squeezes their muscles really tight. And if you tell them to pay attention to that when they're breathing and look, can you now soften your face? Can you open up your jaw? And they go, oh, all right. And you can actually watch kind of the light bulb go on, and they're like, oh, I can think and I can breathe through this. Well, that doesn't work just on a yoga mat. That works anywhere. And that's, I've said this in quite a few different, I've said it during presentations. I've said it during other podcasts that, look, the 60 minutes that you take and do a yoga practice or however long you have, I just happen to teach 60-minute classes generally. It's wonderful to have you, in there that during that time. But when you take that magic that you pick up during that 60 minutes, and the next time that you're in the midst of a conflict, or the next time that you feel your body, like you start to feel your shoulders like crawling up into your ears, and you go, and you just take a big breath and you soften. Oh, okay. So life doesn't have to be the other way. So that's the magic, honestly.
Vance, let me ask you something. And for guys like myself, Sam, I know you've been doing it and you can't put your leg behind your head. But it's probably the frustration factor I see in a lot of guys who have not been conditioned to maybe get even down onto a yoga mat,
right?
Let alone start doing stretching. So I know, like, if I got down onto a yoga mat and like you said, Sam, go to touch your toes, right? I know I would probably be super embarrassed or frustrated that I cannot make, I couldn't bend that way, or I'd be like, oh, I can only reach halfway. So, as cops and first responders, what do we do when we can't do something? Screw it. Let's go on to something else.
Right.
And so walk us through how you, or the progress you've seen guys advance from not even being able to touch their toes to maybe doing a full bend in that breathing exercise.
Oh, okay.
Actually, Vance is going to walk us through that when we're back from our last break. We'll be right back super quick.
Welcome to the Health Engineer Show. I'm Cliff Duquay, the health engineer right here on the Offbeat.
Hi, I'm Larry Cortez.
Hi, my name is Susan Hamilton, and you're watching Offbeat.
Hi, this is Doreen Milano. Welcome to Big Ideas Small Business, where we will talk to Terry Arjala.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam and Vance Rowe out of Ocean City, Maryland, from founder of Yoga Rescue. Man, getting our first responders and our veterans not only mentally healthy but physically healthy. If you've missed the first part of the show, we've been talking from everything from breathing to stretching to how this process, this ingredient, will help you not only on the job but in longevity off the job.
Mm-hmm.
The statistics say, after 5 years or after you retire, 5 years, you're dead, right? And our pension departments count on that. They want us to die this way, don't it? But you know what? As first responders, let's prove them wrong. Let's be able to get another pension after that. Let's live beyond our pension. Let's live 20 years, and plus. But we can't do it unless we condition ourselves prior to that day. So, Vance, when we talk about stretching, we talk about breathing. Walk us through some of the things so we don't get frustrated, so we don't quit.
So I think one of the big things that you have to be okay with is maybe going to a beginner level class, or maybe I started doing men's beginner classes last year. Because sometimes you'd be like, I don't want to be around all those girls and they're all bendy and flexy and they can do everything and the guys can't. So
that's motivation, man.
I'm trying to make it as inclusive as I can. And I mean, I got into this trying to get people that don't want to do yoga to do yoga. So I'm, John, if you have issues like getting down on the mat, then we just won't get down on the mat. We'll do everything from a standing position. And at some point, maybe if you want to put a knee down on the ground, all right, we'll work from there. And maybe then you put 2 knees down. I'm going to work with whatever you have. I'm not going to make you do just what I say. And I think that's the real beauty in yoga is it's not a strict regimen that you have to do this to this to this to this. It'll meet you wherever you are. So if you're new to it, well, we're going to try just one pose and maybe we're going to try it for a breath. And then maybe the next time we're going to try it for 2 cycles of breath and you're going to hold it. And maybe by the 3rd or 4th class, we'll be holding it for like 5 to 8 breaths. I have a guy that comes every Thursday morning. We've been police officers for more than 20 years together. He actually tells people as they come in, he's like, I am the most unathletic person you have ever met. And I love yoga and I'm always going to be here. And then he tries to recruit for me. And he's like, if I can do it, you can do it. So you don't have to be the most athletically gifted person. You just have to be a little open. You have to be willing to maybe try something that's a little out of your comfort zone and don't discount it before you actually give it a shot.
Yeah, because I will tell you, it will become part of your comfort zone. Because like I said, our basis of us being alive is our breath, and you can take it in a lot of different avenues from there. Vance, how do people connect specifically with you and Yoga Rescue?
The easiest way is through my website, and that is yoga-rescue.com. And then I'm also on several social media sites. So Facebook, it's Yoga Rescue, no hyphens, no nothing. And then on Instagram, yoga.rescue. And then of course, my personal stuff, it's Vance Rowe on Facebook, on Instagram, and then on LinkedIn too.
Yeah. So please connect because you have all your classes that you teach on the website. And then if somebody wants to, that's not in your area, that's listening, that's watching, can they just reach out to you and do something online?
Yes. I will set up a private Zoom link that me and them can just work through the computer or something like that. I am willing to travel. I will travel, a couple hours away from Ocean City in order just to deliver, presentations or yoga classes. I'm working on online content that I'll actually make classes and make them at different intervals to actually put on my website that anybody can use. Cause shift work, people aren't always available when I'm available. So I just need to put this stuff out so that people can just do it on their time. And I'm not going to do all 60-minute because people are going to be like, I don't have an hour. So I'm going to make like maybe a 15, a 20, a 30, somewhere in there.
And then you've been doing a lot of conferences, a lot of speaking, and that's all over. So definitely, if this is something that is resonating with you, connect with Vance. Hey, I have something for your future to work on a YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube videos. And
right.
So people can connect with you over there and you can just set up your camera and
there we go.
And
then I can just do live right through there.
Yeah, live or just record it and put it on YouTube so that anybody can find you and do 15, 20, 25-minute routine. And
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. No, it's great.
Just some business stuff. We talk about everything on the podcast.
No, we really do. My wife has been encouraging me to do this for months, and I don't know what my I got like this mental block or something as far as like putting it together and making the time for myself to do it. But I know I need to, because that's really the way I'm gonna
listen to your wife.
I know, right? She's smarter than me.
That's for sure.
I just had to get that in there.
We froze.
Yeah, this is great. Again, guys, if you are listening, it's yoga-rescue.com. Connect with Vance there on the website. He's also across social media at Yoga Rescue and his name, Vance Rowe. So reach out, get well, get healthy, add this yoga component to whatever you're doing, especially if you're doing heavy weights and kettlebells and CrossFit and all that stuff, because your body will thank you. Let's build in longevity. Vance, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Look forward to staying connected, and look forward to watching you on your YouTube channel.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah, James Fonda, knock it out of the park.
All right. Take care. We'll be in touch.
Take care, man.
All right, this was great. We've been talking about building your wellness recipes, right? We're not going to go goulash. We're going to stick with the cookies, and let's build your kitchen sink cookie. You just don't have to do it all at one time. You pick and choose wherever you want to be on any given day, and we have met a lot of folks in the yoga and the mental health and wellness space through Carry the Load. You see the banner every week, and when you tune in, we are continuum of care partners with Carry the Load. They are doing so many incredible things for our veterans and our first responders, and they have coming up because November 11th is Veterans Day. So November 1st, it starts. It's the Heroes Challenge. And basically you can raise awareness through your workout. And what you can do is just go on to carrytheload.org and find out more. You can do it through your own workout, or you can actually do their Heroes Challenge. So go ahead and check that out. Like and subscribe. If you're tuning in every month, every week, you like what we're doing, we appreciate you. We continue to grow. Please like and subscribe. We are all over social media, from Facebook to YouTube to Instagram to LinkedIn to X so if you're, Twitter, X Live, is it X Live, Twitter Live?
Formerly known as Twitter.
Yes. So, thanks for watching over there. We're on MeWe. We are on Getter, all over the place. So please like and subscribe if you like what we're doing. We appreciate it. If you want to be a sponsor for the podcast, it's super easy. Connect with me and John. We can tell you it's not a huge investment, but we'll create the commercial for you. We'll make sure that you are, we've got you on, just like you see the commercials that we do each show. We can get you hooked up there. So if you'd like to be our anchor lead sponsor, just reach out. Our friends at Eagle Oak Retreat are looking for a Warrior Path director and facilitator. So easy way, not easy way. It's a meaningful way to grow from trauma. Just in your post-traumatic growth. And I totally messed that up. I'm sorry, Eagle Oak Retreat. Check out Warrior Path, what the program is about, and go to Eagle Oak Retreat. They're across social media as well. So Eagle Oak Foundation, they're looking for a Warrior Path facilitator. And let's see, our Rest for First Responders, they got a program coming up. You can connect with them online. And just added to our calendar this month for October, on the 28th, the Northeast Texas Vet Fest is coming up in Greenville. We will be out there. And if you want more information, connect with them at vlb.texas.gov. I had to put my readers on for that. huge thing, if you want to know what we're doing, how to connect, where you can come out and be a part of our workshops, Walk the Bridge, Texas Vet Fest, all of these things that we've got going on, visit our website, abadgeofhonor.org. It's all there. Click on events. We've got a calendar there. Our next workshop is coming up December 1st. Thank you, Garland PD, for sponsoring us. So we'll put out the link very soon for you to register for that. To all of our first responders out there, we are praying for you every single day. Thank you for keeping us safe right here in our communities. For our veterans, thank you for doing what you did, fighting for this country so that John and I have the freedom to speak out each week and do this podcast the way we want to do it. And for all of our active duty personnel across the globe, keeping our shores safe, we thank you. John, take us home.
And, once again, what we were talking about with the recipe, we all got to add our little spice. We all got to, find our little tarragon to put into our special diet. And we don't know something until we try it. We don't know if we like something until we try it. It's getting over that first step. It's facing our fears. We do it every single day. Let's, 30 minutes, a half hour, it's a TV show. Let's get off the couch. Let's stretch. Let's breathe. Let's get ourselves healthy and out there moving. You'd be surprised on the impact it has on your mental health and your physical health. Man, if you could be anything in this world, just be kind. Till next week, Sam. Peace.
Take care, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.